Here it is. This is the new OF 1010. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so where you all from? Okay, so look, back at episode number 2, I whipped out all these routers. We had the MFK 700, we have the OF 1010 EQ, we have the OF 1400, we have the OF 2200. Okay, so how do people rate routers? Right? It's from horsepower, and you can just see the progression up here. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with the repetitive stuff. Go watch episode number 2. There's so much killer information in there. So let's take this out of the mix, okay? And that's the OF 1010 EQ. And let's bring in the new one. Okay? So if you check it out, you're going to say, it looks the same. No, there's some really cool refinements. And it just reminded me, I still need this to show you the difference. Okay. So as I go through the new features, okay, the upgrades as I call them, I'm going to set it up on the guide rail with the guide stop. And I'm going to, that may be a little repetitive of episode number 33, but I think it's always good to see because you should see some of the killer refinements that we have done here at Festool on it. Okay, so I did something this week on Festool Sedge, and I said, and somebody finally said, it's about time. Okay, but somebody reached out and said, and I wanted to wait till today so you understand this, because I had to go ask this. I thought I knew quite a bit, but Rick and Brent enlightened me on this. So when you look at the, somebody wanted to know, what's the REQ-F stand for? So I have a thing back at my desk with all the abbreviations, and F usually stands for fast fix, okay? And I have it over here, the Rotex, that's why it says FEQ, fast, it has fast fix, fast pad change. But I go, there's nothing fast fix on the new OF 1010 REQ-F. So the F stands for fractional. It's different in Europe, but the F stands for fractional because we have the inch scale on this unit, and you can see it right here, okay, for your depth setting. See it? But also, it's on here, and I'll tell you exactly what this is for. You probably know because you've seen all our videos or all our lives on this. This is the support bracket, but that scale, you'll see the 0. That's the center line, and I'll go through this again today, but that's fractional as well. Okay? So I just thought I'd cover that. That's what the F is for. Oh, the R is for reface. It means we refaced it. It's kind of an upgrade. Okay. E stands for all the killer electronics inside, and Q stands for plug it cord. It's quick. Okay, but that's plug it cord. So you might want to write those down and ask everybody, hey, what does this stand for on this machine? What does this stand? OF. What? No, Big D's writing it down. Okay. Okay. So here's your OF 1010. I'm going to put a bit in, and it's really simple now. They said there was better clarity. Well, there is, as I grab an old OF 1010, okay, because I mentioned earlier we moved the turret, and it's easier to change a bit, but you've probably, if you've experienced this with your 1010, you probably have had times when you're trying to route and you don't have a good visibility. With this, you have great visibility because I don't want to say it was simple. Germany hates it when I say things are simple because things get re-engineered. But we took the turret from here and moved it over to here. Okay, so if we can look at the difference, Chris, get in here so you can see it. Look at, it's a better line of sight on it. Okay? Now, it's still the same bit changing. It's a through hole. I'm going to get that out of the way. Okay, and I'm just going to take it. I'm going to chuck a bit in pretty quick here. We're going to do a 3/4 mortise. Okay, and this is tough for me too because I have to say 3/4, not 18 millimeter. Right. Hey, let's warm everybody up. Hey, Minnie, you're like Mrs. Metric. What's half of 3/4? Huh? What's half of 18? 9. See? Ooh. Yes or 9? 9. Okay, so that's what's funny about this. Metric for us is so much easier. And I'm looking around because I know I do have a wrench kicking around. Okay, I got one right here. Chris, you got to stop moving my wrenches around. Okay, so it's still the through hole in the ABBA. Okay, but now I can actually have more room and not hit the tort as I'm tightening it or loosening it to get it out. Okay, so I'll set that right there. So I've chucked that bit up. Okay. Now, still, every time, this is called the guide stop, everybody. And I always love training on this because when you first get this, right, when you put it on here, there may be some lateral tolerance in there, some slop. So you take a posi dry screwdriver, as long as it's a Festool. Okay, that never gets old for me. It probably gets old for you. And you can knock out the slop, and it pushes that little bit of plastic in there. Now, I'll give you another tip. I like to make sure it's fairly tight, but I'll also take some wax and put it on here, in here, and here. So it's still, there's no slop, but it runs smoothly. Okay, then I'm going to take the rods, and I'm going to deadhead them right in here like this. Whoop, 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 whoop. Getting going again here, warming up. So that slides really nice. I'll just get this out of the way. Okay, and I'm going to put the router, and when I put the router in, it has two locking knobs, the OF1010. Okay, let me just get that in there. Got to loosen the knobs. There we go. It slides right in. And here's what goes missing when you're setting up on the guide stop. Okay, the router should ride partially on the rail. So you see how I have that? And I'm going to tighten it up here and here. Okay, but here's the problem with it. It wants to fall off. That's why we have this support bracket, because guess what the support bracket does? It supports. Hey, Mo. So I'm going to put it on here like this, and I'm going to tighten the screw up. Okay, now, the beauty of the Festool router system, I love this, because so many people don't know this, okay, is when we precision grind these rods, we now know when we put the base on that that is dead on the center line of our router bit. That's the center of this bit. Okay, you can see it, look, on the MFK 700, on the OF 1400, and on the OF 2200. Okay, so whether you're using a parallel guide, or, as we even had a whole episode on this, or a guide stop or a parallel edge guide, it makes it wicked easy to set up on center line to run profile bits or straight bits for grooving. Okay, or what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a big mortise today. So what I did when I took this pine here, a southern yellow pine I should say, is we're going to do a dado here. Not a dado, a mortise. If it was all the way through, cross grains dado. Okay, but we're going to stop and start it precisely. Yes, we've done this in several videos, but I want to do the setup with you because this is what really distinguishes. There's two things that distinguish Festool routers than anybody else's system. Number one, it works with the guide rail in an easy to set up way. And number two, it has killer dust extraction. And we're going to have some fun with that today. So come over here, Chris. And Big D, you may be able to get it. See that little point right there? That's also the center line on this guide stop. Okay, I'm going to make sure everything's tight. That actually hits it right there. See that? I'm going to tighten it up. So I'm going to set up this line really quick. Okay, and I'm going to start at 3/8 before the center line. Hopefully that's coming across. I'm going to take that limit stop and put it right here. So now I don't really have to think about it. Now, get my deflector back on. Look how that works. Covers up that little channel now. It's sweet. And these horns here are a little bigger so nothing slips out of them. That's where it's where you can put the cord in the hose. But you guys all know that I usually just wrap it up around my arm to get it out of the way anywho. Okay, now, my favorite new release this spring is the new hold down, or what do we call this? The lever? What do we call this? Lever clamp? Oh, Garrett just goes, no. Okay, it's I call it the new hold fast because it's just like a hold fast on a traditional bench, but it's a little bit different. I'm going to put it in here like this, slip it in, be patient, okay? Take it like this, and when I lock it down, that's nice and stout, okay? Make sure my stop is set. So, all of this. Now, let's talk about something that I've talked about before in several videos, but I want to talk about it because guess what? This is a huge upgrade on this. This is the new depth stop. And we put a little picture here so you know when you use the micro adjust, if you need to go deeper or shallower. Okay, but we're gonna go 9 millimeters in depth. I'm gonna get a couple of gauge blocks. Make sure you get the full set of dominoes. We're gonna go 9 millimeters deep. Do we have a 9 millimeter domino? Big D, you know the shtick. Okay, so let's start at 0. Let's do depth. I'm going to unlock it. Whoops, get this out of the way, loosen the rod. Okay, and lock it down. I call that ground 0. I could use this scale, which is fractional, and lift it up here and go 9 millimeters, which is about what? 3/8. But I don't want to, my eyes are going these days, so what I like to do is just take a 5 and a 4 and put it in between just like that and lock it in. Now, here's a call out. There's a couple things inside I need to talk about because these are also huge upgrades. We took something away from the 1400 that we learned over the years. It's on the 2200, and I knew when we innovated the new OF 1010 that we would include it because it's a big takeaway. There's a lot of times there's plunge routers out there that when you plunge, you lock them with a lever. They only lock on one column. So it's in your mind, and it does happen. If they don't take the time, other companies to precision grind the rods, it could cant a little. So your bit is not at a perfect 90. We started with the 1400, put it in 2200, and it now lives in the 1010 REQF. There is a rod. When I lock this knob, when I plunge, it locks here on the column, but the rod also pushes here. It's conical and locks on that rod. So it's a dual locking column. Now, the other one I used to have a table saw when the power would go out in Fort Lauderdale. It happened every once in a while. I'd come back in, and we call them mag switches on our table saws. When I flipped the power back on, or the power came on, my machinery would not run again. Okay, so I have seen pictures of tools, old pictures of Festool, where somebody walked in the house and the power came back on, and their sander sanded through the table. Okay, there's actually a picture out there on the internet of that. The OF 1010 inside, it basically has a protective restart system inside. So if you inadvertently leave the shop, power has gone out, you leave, it won't restart when the power gets back on. I wanted to call that out because that's some of the stuff that folks don't see. All the work that we do to build our tools and how we upgrade things sometimes inside. And we don't go through a whole big hoo-ha on it, but boy, we're constantly refining our tools and our electronics. Look at this. For years and years and years and years and years, everybody said, hey, is there an adapter for the OF 1010? It's because of the oval setting on there, right? And I would do this. I would go, it's easy. It just fits on like this. You got to squish the hose. Not anymore. Okay? It's now permanent. You can see it where the 27 millimeter will go inside. But here's the really cool thing. I know a lot of you out there. Stay right there, Chris. Okay, look at the diameter of that. And everybody knows when you see a diameter like that, 27 goes on the inside, 36 millimeter goes on the outside. Okay, I've done this quite a few times so far to prove this. And yesterday, I got to call myself out. The 27 was working as good as the 36 when I was doing this. But I had to go get some Southern Yellow Pine because this really will show it. You'll see the difference. I think I've called everything out so far. Okay, now, a little bit of safety when you're running this router, any of our routers. Before you put the cord in, make sure the tool is cycled off. Okay, now, the other thing, too, is when you're using on the guide rail, make sure, because I've been talking here, make sure everything is tight and ready to go. I'll double check the turret hadn't moved, okay? This is what I meant by the deflector. See how the cord and the hose automatically go in there? There's no catch points anymore, okay? It covers up the whole thing. But I'm also going to show you this. This is what Alan taught me years and years ago. This is how I use my track saw. If I wrap it around my arm, because I use the track saw one-handed, it, oh yeah, we got that mic on, right, that you can still hear me. I don't have to yell. Oh, I just found that out last week or the week before. Okay, my hand never leaves there, okay? So I'm going to make a quick pass. Okay? And I'm going to stop forward. Okay? And I want you to see this. That's the 27 millimeter hose. And let's check this out, everybody. So you can see it's better dust extraction. Okay? I wanted to point that out to you. 36 ups the airflow back to the dust extractor. Okay, so this is the older saw. This is the TS55 REQ. Here in North America, this will launch on March 25th. Okay, this is the TS55 FEQ. Okay, really, really important. It's the performance of the machine, and it has to do with the blade. Somebody asked me last week, hey, is there something internally different? Is it a new motor? Is there more power? Is there more torque? Oh, I think it was Matt from MWA Woodworks. And I said, Matt, no, it's the same machine. But that extra torque and power you're feeling is because of the new blades. And they're right over here. And we're going to cover these today. So the question is always asked, all right, is it worth the wait? Well, you're going to see today, because when I first saw this last year or the year before, I was like, yeah, it's just going to be a thinner curved blade. And then all of a sudden I used the saw. And I know you're watching a video right now, and it's kind of tough to see, but we're going to get a timers on these. You're going to see how much quicker it is. 50% quicker on this plywood. And I'm going to tell you, it's night and day difference. Okay? Then I'm going to cut some plexiglass, I'm going to cut some aluminum, I'm going to cut some thicker material, and I'm going to change the blade. And as I go through all this, I'll coach you on using the track saw. Now, this is important because we had to go back. We had to guess, hey, when did we do Track Saw Essentials Live? And the unit said number 5, but it was actually number 6. And it's kind of funny because that's our number 1 Festool Live. So I'll cover some more things. I'm not going to cover everything. Go back and watch that episode because we covered a boatload of knowledge in there. Okay, so I'm going to step right over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, Big D, you got your timer ready? Yep. Okay. See, Big D's got a smartphone. They don't allow me with those phones because you need to be smart to use it. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to create, I showed you, this is the limit stop. This is to use when you're plunge cutting. I'll show you that next week. Oh, I just hinted at something. Bum, bum, bum. Next week, because we're launching all the new guide rail accessories, I have to devote the entire episode to the new angle unit, the extension, the new adhesive pads, the new deflector. Oh my God, the new rail connectors. So I'm going to cover all of that next week. So stay tuned, okay? I just wanted to cover the new saw. So I'm going to take the old saw. And I want to do this. Hopefully we can get a shot of it. This is the old saw blade, okay? And when I say old, it's a 2.2 millimeter. I'm just going to grab this ripping blade right here, we had field of vision. This is 1.8 millimeter, okay? Okay, but the thing is you don't think that's a difference. It really is unbelievable in cut quality, and you're going to get 25% less sawdust because it's a thinner curve, okay? So I'm going to take it sounds funny, I'm calling this the old saw. I'm going to take my splinter guide, I'm going to bring it down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the depth. This is 3/4 material, 18 millimeter. So I'm going to set it right here. See right there, that's the thickness of the material right there. That's your actual cutting depth. I always go a click below just to cut all the way. Now, I'm going to, Bluetooth. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the dust extraction. Actually, when I'm cutting, I like to bring my dust extractor out right here. That way there, I can have plenty of cord and hose and not get interrupted. Now, you're going to notice the little arrow here. I always take this off and line it up. I put a little whiteout in there. So when I take that dust collection connection, it locks on. I'm going to take it like this. I'm going to put it on. And remember, this is the older saw with a 2.2. I am going to verify that for me, Chris.
You're right.
Okay, thank you, sir. See, the cameraman does have a voice. Hey, Big D, did you hear him? Okay. So now, I have my outside splinter guard on, okay, but I always verify, like I've always shown you in these lives, I always make sure the blade starts before the material, okay? Oh, hang on, Big D. Okay, now, Big D, you can still hear me, right? Okay, everybody. I am pushing from behind the saw like this, okay? It's still a really good cut, all right? And I'm not pushing it too hard, all right? Now, when I get to the very end, I make sure I'm past the cut, and then I bring it up. Now, this is the blade that comes with the older saw, and it is a 48-tooth alternating top bevel. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to switch this out, and I'm going to put this on the new saw. Now I also, because it's 1.8 millimeter versus the 2.2, I'm just going to take my rail, and I put a new splinter guard on this one earlier this week, and I'm going to take that, I'm going to set it up. I'll take this limit stop because this gives me the right, see that little offset right there? That gives me the offset that I like to use, just like this. Let me bring it in, just like this. Double check it down here, going back and forth. And that gives me a 6 millimeter offset. Okay, here we go. This is the new saw right here. All right, I'll just take this fitting off. I got my depth set, okay? Now you're gonna notice on here, it's 1.8 and the riving knife is now 1.8. So that was the big difference. So we got the question 2 weeks ago. Somebody asked us, hey, can I use like the old saw blades on there? In theory, yes, but why would you? Because that will go into the curve. Follow me? So, but it's slower. Just get the new blades. They're so much faster. Now, I'm just going to double check these two knobs right here, okay? And I'm going to turn them so they're tight, and then I'll slowly back them away so there's no lateral tolerance. That's what you do when you cut the splinter guard. I'm going to take the saw now, get it hooked up. And remember, when you put that plug-it cord in there, it's a full quarter turn. Let me just lock this fitting on. Big D, how quick was that? Okay, now I'm not going to try to push this any faster than the other one, but you'll see how it is faster. Okay, you ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
Get a shot of that, Chris. What is it?
14.29.
Amazing. It is, and I was blown away when I started using that thin curved blade. Night and day difference. It's 50% faster. So I'm that type of person, when I see a statistic, I gotta try it to actually verify it. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when I saw 25% less dust, I said, okay. I took the bag, which I don't have out right now, and I emptied the bag once, and this is the one I got with the old saw, so you can see it, okay? Now this one, this is how I verified it. I don't know if it's 25%, but this is with the new saw, and you can see the difference. There's less dust, okay? So I thought that was a good visual for everybody. I was kind of like, well, that's kind of cool, all right? So, hey, we got the right statistics. All right. Everybody follow that? I'm hoping. All right. Now, let's look at these blades. And they're color-coded. The blade that now comes with the TS55 FEQ is a 42-tooth blade, alternating top bevel, but there's a different chip in there. Hey, Big D, can you zoom in on here so I can show this? I mean, everybody will look at a saw blade and they'll see this, an alternating top bevel. That's the top, that's the tooth. And then you have another one like this. Okay, but on the new blade, we also have a tooth that is like this, and it's basically a triple chip grind, but it actually has got a better point to it, so you're going to get a nice clean kerf in there. It actually stabilizes the blade. So I wanted to show you that. Now, when we go through the blades, so I want to concentrate on the new saw, but there's a lot of times when somebody says, hey, my saw is a little sluggish when I'm ripping hardwood. Guess what? You should switch to a less teeth in the curved blade. So we've always had ripping blades. We call them the Panther blade. I'm going to switch it out in a few minutes. But here we go. That's your Panther blade. We have that. Okay. Then if you want one in between the 42 tooth blade and the new blade, this is the 28 tooth blade, tip blade, tooth blade. You can see because it says it right there, 28. Hey, Mo. Okay, now, not to get confusing, but this one here is the green blade, and that is for cementatious products. You guys know this product. We use it all the time. It's a Hardy board, okay, cap composite material like that. It's got concrete cement in the middle. That's fantastic. It's a 4-tooth blade, polycrystalline tipped. And now we can capture the dust in the dust extraction. Now, here's the little bit of confusing part. And we've always said the red blade is for plastic. It says laminate, but I still use it. It's a triple chip grind. I still use it for plastic, but thinner material. Okay? This one is, and it's finally back in our arsenal. It is an aluminum blade. You can cut non-ferrous metals. Big difference between ferrous and non-ferrous, but it's easy just to cut aluminum with it and say aluminum, but non-ferrous metals. But it also says plastics, and that's for thicker plastics. And I will cover that right now. So we got an aluminum cutting blade or non-ferrous blade in our arsenal now. Actually, I better take it like this. And Big D, I think you can probably zoom in on me as I change the blade so I can go through that with everybody. I'm just going to move this around. I'm going to bring this back here because I'm going to cut right now. I'm going to cut a piece of aluminum. All right, so let's change the blade. Now, I want to coach you on a few things. Chris, I think you can come around here to get a good shot of this. This is your variable speed. And somebody will always ask, why variable speed? Well, the thicker I'm just going to leave it on like between 6 and 5 for this. But if you are cutting thicker aluminum, slow it down a little. Okay? Same thing with plastics. Slow it down a little. Okay? The thicker the material. But you're going to see how this just cuts right like butter through there. So I'm going to take that, double check my depth. I'm actually going to bring this so I don't get all that dust. See how I push it down to the material that I'm going to cut? And then I'll tighten it. That way there, that little pad out there on the outside splinter guard blocks a lot of the dust from going forward. That way there, I don't get it on Sparky. Okay, Spark, here we go. Now, I also want to, boy, that cut way fast. The other thing I want to coach you on is this. This right here, you should take a little bit of sandpaper and deburr it, okay? So always, because look, see those little burrs? Always deburr that like that. That pocket stick fix is really good for that. Okay, and same thing with this piece right here. I'm doing that so when Chris cleans up, he doesn't hurt himself on that burr. Got it? Aluminum cutting blade. It is what? Blue. We color code everything. Now, that transfers to Capex blades. That transfers to jigsaw blades. We color code everything. Okay, so here we go again. I'm going to take that, right? And I'm going to grab the red blade. You stay right there, Chris. Whoop, 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 whoop. So a lot of times I always coach people cutting on a table saw, cutting plastics. It's a nightmare because it just melts as you cut it. Slow it down. You're cutting a lot of plastic, slow the saw down. And that's why this track saw is a winner. Look at that. Look at how clean that cut is. Check this out. But look at this. Look how clean this cut is. Absolutely perfect. So I wanted to make sure you saw that, how quick it is to change the blade. Okay, and I got one more blade change. Now I'm going to take my splinter guard. I'm going to bring it down. Now I've been cutting 3/2 inch, 3/4. That outside splinter guard is still going to be good because I'm actually going to cut through it a little bit further. But when I go back to 3/4, then I'll put on a new splinter guard. And a rule of thumb I always do is the thickest I've ever cut, I write on the splinter guard because it lasts a long time. Woo! Okay, so this is where I'm saying my blade's going to start forward of that board. Always start at full speed. I'll bring it up to 6. And look how quick that is. And look at the quality of cut you get from there. No burning, no nothing. It's just so nice. So, oh my God. I just looked at the board. Hopefully, I covered everything I needed to cover about the new track saw. Oh. You might have a bunch of accessories that work with your older track saw and you want to upgrade. Guess what? All the accessories work. It works on the same guide rails. Now, very important. We have new guide rails, and when I say new guide rails, a new 1900 millimeter, a new 1400 millimeter guide rail. I'll go over those next week. They have certain slots in there for a variety of reasons. I'll cover that. I'm going to cover the new angle unit. I'm going to cover the extension for the angle unit. I don't know if you noticed, but I'll give you a little prelude over here. I used the new deflector. Okay, and now the deflector covers up this channel so the cord doesn't come in the channel. I'm going to cover the new connectors next week. And I think that's it, right? That's what comes in the cutting package. So there's a lot to cover next week. And if I did it, we would go till 1:30 today.